Unreal. If somebody says Unreal, the first thing that usually comes to people's minds is that big game engine that powers a lot of modern video games. Well, either that or Fortnite. This video won't be covering Unreal Engine 5, 4, or even 3. Instead, it'll be a little proof of concept of what's possible in the original Unreal that was released in June of 1998, thanks to the latest in officially sanctioned community patches made by the old Unreal development team. Thanks to these community-driven efforts, more advanced, or at least for the time anyway, technologies have made their way into this classic game engine, such as static mesh and particle emitter support. There is way more in this patch that I won't be covering here, as the changelog is just absolutely insane. Instead, I'll put a link in your description box if you've got an hour or two to spare to read over it. As a result of this, I've recently been tinkering with backporting some content from the amazing Arena FPS Unreal Tournament 2004 into the original Unreal 1. So, where to begin? I started by copying the geometry, or brushes as they're known in game engine lingo. Due to the aforementioned similarities between engines, Unreal 1's editor will try to automatically apply the textures, which will fail miserably as I have no textures imported yet. Thankfully, the editor's log will tell me what textures failed to load, so I can go ahead and start extracting them from Unreal Tournament 2004 and importing them into Unreal 1's editor, repeating until there's no more errors and all the surfaces have a texture. As I've already got all the textures ready to import, I won't be showing footage of this, as it's more of a showcase than a tutorial, but I'll definitely list the programs that I've used in the video description. Now that we have the textures imported, we just need to paste the brushes in again, and just build the map very quickly, and we should see that all the textures are now applied to the surfaces correctly. We will see an instance like that, where the textures may not assign correctly, we just need to manually apply those. There'll also be a couple of instances where the textures aren't aligned correctly. We just need to use the texture alignment tool in the top left just to align those correctly ourselves. So unfortunately the editor crashed while I was getting towards the end of aligning these textures. So because I couldn't be bothered to re-record it, I'm just going to skip ahead to a section where we already have the textures realigned. Now we have the bare bones of the map in place, we need to fill it out with the decorative pieces, also known as the static meshes. I'll be skipping showing all this part because it can be quite time consuming, but to summarise, we use a program called UE Viewer to extract the meshes from UT 2004. Then we use a 3D modelling tool such as Blender to convert them to the OBJ format, which we can then just import straight into Unreal 1's editor. There will be some cases where the original mesh will use a special shader texture which can't be replicated in Unreal 1, so we have to take some creative liberties to fill in the gaps where required. For example, this mesh has an environment mapped shader texture in UT 2004. Now we can't recreate this one for one, but we can get a similar looking effect by enabling a material flag in the mesh's properties called Mesh Environmap, which gives it a shiny appearance. Now we can copy the static mesh actors from UT 2004's editor and just paste them into Unreal 1's editor. Now we're getting somewhere. Next is the lighting. Again, thanks to the similarities between engines, we can simply select all the light actors in UT 2004's editor, copy, and then paste them into Unreal 1's editor. We can repeat this for other things such as player start actors, which define where players and bots will spawn, path node actors, which define paths that a bot can take, and providing that we already have the sounds imported, which I've done ahead of time, we can also copy the ambient sound actors, which define areas where you'll hear things such as machinery whirring away or lava bubbling. Since the geometry and the lighting in the map has changed, we'll need to do a rebuild, which we'll do now. Now the build's complete, we can turn on the in-game preview and just have a bit of a fly around just to really appreciate how nice the lighting looks. Another one of the cool additions brought by the 227 community patch is the ability to add dynamic volumes, which allows us to place user-defined areas of water, fog, or in this case lava. I'll also add some miscellaneous objects such as this teleporter, and even drop in a little bit of distance fog for some moodier lighting. So, after all that, here's Deck 17 in Unreal Tournament 2004, and here's Deck 17 in Unreal 1. Pretty good, I think. All in all, this took about a day's worth of work to get to this point, which I'm pretty happy to call finished. As I mentioned at the start, it's really just a proof of concept and not something I plan on releasing. Yet. There's other things I'd like to add, such as the pickups and the weapons, but that would require a lot more work. Something I'm actually playing around with the idea of. But don't expect anything anytime soon. While I have some coding experience, I'm not proficient in Unreal Script by any means. Now, you might be asking, why am I even bothering to do this for a game that's nearly 30 years old? The games have been delisted on Steam and GOG, and ironically enough, aren't even available on Epic's own storefront. The answer is because I can, and I'm bored. Unreal has a special place in my heart, and I've always had a passion for tinkering around with things like this. My mantra is, if you get any sort of joy out of a creative outlet, do it. Thankfully, Epic have recently granted permission for the full game ISO, along with Unreal Gold and the original Unreal Tournament, to be hosted on archive.org. There's also full game installers for each, which include the latest community patches and even SDKs, available via the old Unreal Discord server, the link to which I'll include in the description box. To finish up, I should mention that something like this has already been done before by one of the old Unreal developers by the name of Marco. He previously ported 3 maps, which are Grendel Keep, Takara, and Desert Isle, all to Unreal 1. So shout out to him and the rest of the old Unreal developers for keeping this game alive for so long. Thanks for watching, and who knows, I might do another video like this in the future.